Hello.
Hi,
How are you, Ryan?
I am doing actually well. How are you?
I'm wonderful. Thank you so much for joining me and for having your righteous background for this call.
That's right, Horsehead Nebula.
I love it. Do you want to give a little intro on who you are and what you do?
Yeah, sure. My name is Ryan Hill. I'm originally from Miami, Florida. I lived in Ohio and moved to Sarasota because I couldn't take Miami anymore. And I work for a tech company in town, and I am their vibe manager slash cultural curator. So I do everything from internal events to all of our philanthropic work, to trade show setups, to I designed our office in Denver and Sarasota, all the fun stuff.
Yeah. So tell me how you kind of found yourself in that role based on your previous career experience or, this feels like something that is perfect just for you. So I'd love to know kind of the background and how you found it.
Yeah, so it was definitely one of those universal moment things. So I had been in a director for 10 years, and the owner of the company, who was also kind of like my adopted father, passed away. And 2 weeks later, I got a call from a friend that this tech company was looking for this position, and she was like, I can't think of anybody else who would be more perfect for this. So I called, and it was kind of like, one of those things that was meant to be.
Yeah, sounds like it, especially when it comes to some of the creative outlet and the design. And I wish I
Yeah.
had photos you could show of all that stuff on this call, but I'll link some of them up to showcase
Yeah.
your work.
Yeah, absolutely. And then our website is Perform CB, and there's a bunch of stuff on there as well too.
Yeah. Out of all the different roles that you hold there and things that you've done in the past too, what's your absolute favorite or what brings you the most joy?
Um, Okay, there's two. Selfishly, the design aspects of everything. Like, I love throwing events, but getting to design spaces that were that funky and unique was amazing. Um, but the overall one is the philanthropic work by far. I get to work with a lot of kids and a lot of different organizations, from Girls Inc. to AMI Kids to the Lilly Academy. I work with United Way very closely, guardian ad litem. So it's probably the most fulfilling thing I've ever done in my life. The fact that I get to use company manpower and money to support these amazing organizations is something big.
Yeah. Is that something that was in the original scope or have you kind of expanded that for them?
It wasn't the original scope. It has definitely expanded. We've definitely moved it to a higher level, just because it worked out well because of how many connections I had in town to organizations via my past job.
Yeah. Is there a
Uh,
certain organization that you hold dear in particular?
I mean, there are so many of them.
I know it's hard to choose.
It is. There is a organization called AMI Kids that I think is amazing. It takes boys that are in middle school, from poverty-stricken areas that are getting in trouble with either school or the law, and moves them into the special school. And it's run by the one in Manatee County is run by an ex quarterback, for like UF or USF. I don't pay attention to football, but apparently he's a big deal. But like, it literally changes these kids' lives. I worked with a organization that started a preschool and after school program at a housing development for kids that, they're one of 13 with a mom or a grandma that's working three jobs and dad's in prison. And it was started by a gentleman whose parents were both teachers, and they were actually both murdered. They were both shot.
Wow.
and he has put everything into this, and that he changes these kids' lives. I really do believe that like education is the way to change someone's life and get them out of the cycle. And so that stuff has been the most moving for me. I mean, like the Lily Academy, which is Easter seals, the autistic kids, getting to work with them and seeing their art and all that is amazing as well.
Sure. Um, are you doing any sort of new beginnings or creative innovation during this remote work time?
I am, yeah. I'm doing a couple virtual things, and actually, to be honest with you, the main thing, this is going to be boring, but the main thing that I've gotten into is our actual company structure and what we do and our clients and what our company actually is.
Yeah.
Because, I've been the fun guy, and dealing with all that. So it's been interesting to get into that side of the business. And creatively, I have been building lots of Lego architecture sets and puzzles and hiking
Yeah.
and snowboarding. Yeah.
Yeah. Are you dreaming up any big future plans?
Well,
I
I
mean,
had
you
to
always are, but
yeah,
what in
yeah.
particular?
So I had to move 4 trips, but
Oh,
they've all been moved and rescheduled. So the first one, which I'm going, I don't care if I have to bubble boy myself across the United States. I'm going to Glacier National Park in August.
ah,
Yep, and then September I'll be going to Colorado and then Moab, Utah for a week to do some fun Canyonlands, Arches, Mesa Verde, Monument Valley type stuff. I was supposed to go to New York to see my family in New York City on Memorial Day, and I don't think that is going to happen.
aw.
I haven't changed that one yet, but if so, I will move it and go. And then I can't believe I'm about to say this out loud, but I'm turning 40 this year. Mentally, I'm 24, but I am actually turning 40. So my birthday is November 1st, which is Dios de los Muertos. So I would like to go to Mexico for the Day of the Dead celebration and see what it's like for the 40.
Well, that's 2 days before my 39th birthday, so I
Really?
can't throw stones. Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah, you should come to Day of the
I
Dead.
know. I'm up for it. You let me know. If we can travel internationally by then, I'm all for it.
Yeah, it's November. We should be
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, I hope so. Fingers crossed.
Hmm.
Um, when did you kind of know that you were, I mean, of course, with this role you're in now, it's perfect for you, but before that, did you feel like you were really like living your purpose and doing kind of what you were here to do? Or were you kind of looking for it until you found this bigger role?
I have always just kind of been a little bit of a floater of what I want to do. I fell in love with events. I really did like the creation aspect of that and being there with somebody from the beginning to the end. And it's almost like, these are people's big days, like the most important things of their lives. So that brought a lot of joy to me. Um, and when I worked with charitable organizations, that always sparked the interest, and that is actually where I find my passion is, helping out. There's just so many people that need so much, and really, like, especially with children, really all they need is somebody who cares,
Yeah.
and it can change their whole life, their whole trajectory. It can go from staying in a cycle of horrendous, uneducated BS to having somebody that cares enough to show them the way out and they become something amazing.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's such a great way to be able to get that intrinsic reward through your workplace too.
Yeah.
What's when it comes to things that you want to create or what's coming up as far as big career opportunities or visions, what's one thing that needs to shift for you to get out of your own way? And it could be outside of your
I,
main
I'm
job.
it's the thing that I try to do. in my early 30s, I spent a couple of years of doing a lot of self work. And it is being open minded to things that I think I have an opinion on, and understanding that my opinion can change if better informed. And also understanding the only thing I can control in a situation. This is the most important thing I've ever learned in my life. The only thing that you can control in a situation is your reaction to it. So it doesn't matter what people do to you. You are not the victim of the world. Everyone is a victim of Earth. Life is not hard. I mean, life is hard. Life is not a cake. So you are not a victim. It's how you react to it and how you choose to react to it. And it's an everyday thing. Like sometimes I react really poorly, like on the road, driving, freaking out. And then I take, a morning and nightly meditation, and I'm like, yeah, that probably wasn't the way to do that. You can do better. So that's, that.
Yeah, the bounce back is quicker as we get older and settle down a little bit in our feistiness, at least for me.
I wish I knew all this stuff when I was 22.
Yeah. Well, we might have heard it, but we certainly didn't listen to it. That's for sure.
No.
Yeah. What are some of your other passions and things that bring you joy outside of your workplace?
So photography, I love photography. I am obsessed with it. I see everything in frames. It's distracting sometimes, but I love photography. It's obviously why I travel so much and hike, and the natural world is obviously, you know me, so I should.
Yeah.
I am obsessed with nature. I go out into the wild as often as possible. So that I reading and writing. I think writing has been something that is been very cathartic for me. I was like a very like emo 16-year-old, like listening to The Cure, writing like poetry about the morbidity of life. And I
Yeah.
find now as an older person kind of writing poetry, it's more cathartic than it was back then.
Yeah. And is that something that you see yourself sharing at some point, and
Oh
with your
God.
photography too? I mean, is this all like in the vault or it?
The photography, I share it on my social media and it's fine. And like every once in a while, a cool account on Instagram will share one of my pictures and it like makes my day. I can't imagine actually working as a photographer. I think I miss that. Like if I could do anything in the world, it would be a photographer for Nat Geo. I'm obsessed with National Geographic, but I also think it takes some of the passion away from it because it's a job. And anything that you have to do to make money, I kind of just like it the way it is. I like it being a passion, and that's it.
Well, and is there an opportunity to kind of do both where it can be a hobby that you get out into the world more than you do?
There probably is, yeah.
Is that like where I'm just wildly curious if there's some of your creative works that are begging to be shared.
Yeah, maybe posthumously or whatever that is. When I'm dead, somebody can do that.
Yeah. Well, what about some of your other creative, like your design projects with other photographers and for some of the other amazing works that you create?
That I love. Now that's something where I don't mind supporting it. So I am the creative director in a group that's like a photographer and a couple models. And that part of it, like I would love for that stuff to be published. We do amazing stuff together. It is that is, I mean, that is just like a passion out of control project for me, and definitely something that I would like to push forward. Our last shoot, um, due to some personal things that are going on with our photographer, is on hold for a minute. But when it comes out, she did want to do her first gallery show with it, and it is amazing. I mean, it is just amazing.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, you can tell that's something that definitely lights you up. So it's fun to watch it in in action.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. If you were to describe your, your role or your passion work in three different words, what would it be?
Creative, unique, empathetic.
Ooh, and do you want to expand on those a little bit more?
Um, I feel like I'd have to write a poem about it, like we were talking about it, and then share it with you.
Here's the way that you're going to get public with your poetry. It's going
Yeah,
to happen right on the spot.
yeah. No, that's
I'm just kidding.
that's that. I feel like I could expound on that, but I would probably stumble around for about 20 minutes, which nobody wants to see.
Well, I mean, why don't we just talk a little bit about the way in which the empathetic component comes into play? Does that have to do with the charitable work or working with your employees and things like that, or
It has to do
and all
with
of it?
everything, personal and professional life. The planet, nature, animals, humans, just understanding that we're all in this together, and just a smile to somebody can change their whole day. You have no idea what they've been going through. Um, animals, they're like there's no reason to harm an animal. It's unnecessary. It's violent and it's something wrong within yourself. It's just having empathy. I don't know if it's something that needs to be like reinforced when you're a younger person, or if you can work on yourself and get it. I just think that empathy to the world around you will make your internal world a better place.
And is that something that you find yourself embracing or embodying more and more as you get older?
I do, yeah. I do.
Are
Yeah.
there any significant moments that have kind of shifted that for you in a radical way?
Um, yeah, there was definitely 1,000%. Yeah. It happened about 10 years ago, and it was a very personal thing that happened, and it's when I decided to take some time and work on myself, and really go through, start meditating, start doing for others, start being other centered, um, and taking an inventory of the things I've been through so I can work through them in my brain and understand that I'm not a victim. That's not
Yeah.
an excuse. Like, what happens to you in your past is not an excuse to treat people bad or to not care about what's going on around you.
So you had a big softening kind of experience with all things.
It was a train wreck experience.
Well, that's sort of how it happens, right? That's when we have the big wake up calls, at least in my experience.
Yes, and thank God for it. I mean, it changed my life, and yeah, it's made me a better person and made my life a better life.
What are some of the things that you do for regular self care? I mean, obviously you spend time outside and you're doing photography and currently Legos and puzzles. But and meditation you mentioned, but what are some of your self care practices?
So yoga, as much as I can. I get sidetracked with that. To me, the meditation thing is the biggest. I think a morning and evening meditation, whenever you can, is the best. I'm not a 7 day a week morning and evening meditation, but I mean, I'm probably in the 5 to 6 day range, depending on what is going on in my life. But the art of meditation is something that everyone needs. It's like, if I could put Xanax in the water system, that's what you would get. Is
Yeah,
it if
right.
everybody if everybody meditated, you'd end up with that situation.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And I think it's easy to come up with a lot of storytelling, at least it was for me, about why I didn't have time to meditate, or, you know, um, the perfectionist side of me always wanted to meditate for 30 to 60 minutes only. And so the idea of a 10-minute meditation was like pointless. And so I would just not do it, especially, something like, and I still do catch myself doing this. I look at Insight Timer and I'm like, 1 minute meditation. What the hell is that? Like, that doesn't even count because,
Right.
I mean, for one, I need several minutes to really de-escalate, generally speaking. And it does seem really small and almost um, useless, but yet it's still significant. And you figure all those little mini moments of slowing down and really just less about slowing down your brain in the perfect way, but more like just giving yourself that gift of 1, 2, 5, 10 minutes
Yeah.
makes such a huge shift in the whole day.
And I find if I always give people advice, like I don't think you should do it all the time because I do think a silent meditation is great. But if you're trying to learn how to do it, music helps me a billion%. I mean, where it's just like, I'm not listening to death metal, but if you can find some music that can just stop you and make you breathe and slow down and clear your mind, it's a great way to kind of learn how to train your brain to do that without music.
Yeah. And I think that that's also part of it too, is like, accepting that there's not a right and wrong way. And
Right.
I'm with you. And sometimes I need that quiet meditation. And then sometimes I need to have some sound bowls or some
Right.
sort of, you know, rhythm of some sort to even just get me to get out of my own head.
God, I love a sound bowl.
Yeah,
Those
I know.
things.
And I'm so grateful that there's more and more resources for us, like from home. I mean, of course, I love this in-person opportunity and we have things like that in the space when the store is open, but it's just nice not to have that as an excuse. And now I can listen to something no matter what when I'm at home, especially during a time like this, and really honor myself in that moment of self-care in the middle of whatever crazy, hectic chaos I'm creating for myself in my day at times.
Yes.
Yeah.
And like literally, I start some of my meditations with just thinking about being on the edge of a cliff in Utah with a sound bowl.
Yeah. Well, and
And
those visualizations are so important, right? Especially when it's a frequent one that you can tap back into and you know exactly how it feels in that space.
smell it, you can feel it on your skin. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a hugely important technique. We do a little bit of some of that with some of the soma breath work, and I will send you some of that, but with the average perfect day, where you're constantly visualizing over and over again what this average perfect day looks like to you. And then it becomes so clear that it drops you into that familiar state instantly.
Yep.
And I think that's extra important during times like this where our rhythms are a little bit thrown off often. And, maybe our patterns or our workflow or our sleep schedule, whatever it is. I mean,
Yeah.
even people who are still open for business and still going in, or essential workers, everything is off kilter a little bit right now.
Well, it's PTSD. I
Sure.
mean, it really is, and it's everybody PTSD.
Yeah.
You can mask it by getting drunk every night or getting angry or whatever, but it really is a global PTSD type situation.
Yeah. And there's never been a more important time to slow the hell down and treat yourself to even 5 minutes of peace in the
Ever.
middle of all of it.
There's never been
Yeah.
ever.
Yeah. 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 It's a work in progress. And I'm making my mental to-do list as we're talking about this. Like, how do I squeeze in my 5 minutes of meditation this afternoon and then later and then tomorrow and then again,
Yeah.
um, because the schedule brain wants to slot it in, even though it doesn't have to be that complicated, of course.
Nope. It doesn't. You ain't got esh to do.
Yeah, I know, right? Well, it's like I overcompensated my flex schedule by overbooking, and then here we are in a very familiar past life pattern
Yep.
of knowing exactly what's happening at every minute. Um, what other advice or words of wisdom do you have for people who are, maybe trying to branch out in their creative ventures or finding a role that embraces that?
Don't be afraid of trying. I think the fear of trying stunts so many people. You know, let go of your insecurity, and embrace your passion. You know, don't be stifled by what you have overanalyzed in your brain, and keep looking. And if you know you don't find it at first, keep looking. You know, and if you have to get something, if we're talking professionally and you have to get a job to pay the bills, do it, and then keep looking and keep looking. You know, and put positive energy out there. Try to be a better person, try to be other centered, and good things will come to you.
Yeah, and I think it's also important to touch on, especially in light of these Dharma sessions, where generally speaking, we're talking to people who are doing what they love and getting paid for it, or that's their career, but also having the caveat that you can do something that you don't love as much and still find things that you're really passionate about and embrace them as an active part of your life, and that there's also nothing wrong with that, but that the key is finding those things that you're passionate about and not being afraid to do them
Right.
no matter what
and
you look like.
and search for them.
Yeah.
You know, if that's really what you want, you just keep searching, and it'll happen.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's true. And filling your time with things that bring you joy, right?
Yes, that's life. I mean,
Yeah.
we only get you know, a couple trips around the sun, and you got to do what you got to do to
Yeah.
make yourself happy and whole.
So, last question for you is, if you knew you would be supported with anything, what would you do?
Um, uh,
What's the ultimate, like, supreme dream?
the supreme dream. It would have to be a double-sided project. Like, I would love to be a creative director for like Paper Magazine or something amazing. But then I'd also have to run a philanthropic organization via that job. So it would have to be a duo.
So you'd have to have two full-time jobs, basically.
Right. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Exactly.
So your dream is to be a serious workaholic.
Yes, right.
Perfect.
I am. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Perfect. I like it. And also a National Geographic photographer
Oh
in the
God.
mix with that. So 3 jobs. No big
Yeah.
deal.
Yeah.
Well, I trust that you will find a way to kind of find the perfect mashup of all that, as you always do.
And I do my own little personal version of that, and it makes me
Yeah.
happy. So
Yeah. Well, and I
yeah.
think that's what it's about. You took all your ultimate dreams and kind of mashed them up in the perfect way.
Yeah. I did.
Yeah. Sometimes we take the long way to get there, right?
Yes, you do. The longest. It's, yep. I
Yeah.
learned lessons down a very long, hard road.
You're not alone in that. I think that
But I learn
for
them.
many of us.
I learn them.
Yeah. Well, and over time it does get easier.
Yeah.
So, all right, cool. Well, thank you so much for sharing all your story and your magic, and I'll toss some pictures of your work in the feed and look forward to seeing what comes next.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. I can't wait to see you in person. I miss your
All
real.
right. I know, you too. It feels like an alternate universe. It's like you're so close but so far away, and you're in space right now, so you're even further than usual.
This is true.
It's really confusing. All right, talk to you soon.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.